Good evening. I'm Adrien Sala, and you're listening to WikiSleep YouTube. If you're enjoying our channel, but hate the ads, all of our episodes are available ad-free through our WikiSleep app, which you can find easily by clicking the links below or visiting WikiSleep.com. The app has more unique sleep support, including meditations, breath work, ambient sounds, white noise, exclusive episodes, and so much more. It's available entirely ad-free, and you can download it for free by visiting WikiSleep.com. There's a free trial to give it a test drive to see if it's the right fit for you, and then it's only an investment of $1.50 a week for better sleep. It's a quick, simple, and inexpensive way to invest in your sleep hygiene and sleep health. As we begin, I recommend taking a moment to get comfortable. Then take a few long, deep breaths and settle in for this calm, interesting, but quiet story. And one last note, no need to smash that like button. You can simply, gently, sleepily click it and subscribe. And don't forget while you're doing that to add notifications as well so you never miss an episode. Thank you, and I wish you a happy, restful sleep in whatever way works best for you. Hi, I'm Adrien Sala, and tonight I'll be reading to you about André the Giant, one of the most famous wrestlers in history, who stood over 7 feet tall and weighed upwards of 600 pounds, yet could perform technical, acrobatic moves in the ring. A noted gentle giant, he was also a lover of card games and wine, and considered to be extremely generous by friends and colleagues. As we begin, take some time to settle into the moment, and when you're feeling ready, take a few long, deep breaths, close your eyes, and fall into the calmness and quiet of the evening. And remember, if you do start to fall asleep, embrace it. Simply breathe it in and let yourself drift off. André René Roussimoff was born on the 19th of May, 1946, in Coulommiers, Seine-et-Marne, France. His father, Boris, was Bulgarian, and his mother, Marianne, was Polish. He was a middle child, with 2 older and 2 younger siblings. His nickname growing up was Dede. At birth, André weighed 13 pounds, and as a child, he displayed symptoms of gigantism very early, noted as being a good head taller than the other kids, with unusually long hands. By the time he was 12, he stood 6 feet 3 inches. He was an average student and good at mathematics, but after finishing school at 14, he joined the workforce, as he didn't believe higher education was necessary for a farm laborer. André spent years working on his father's farm in Moline, where, according to his brother Jacques, he could perform the work of 3 men. He also completed an apprenticeship in woodworking and worked in a factory that manufactured engines for hay balers. But none of these brought him any satisfaction. Interestingly, in the 1950s, the Irish playwright Samuel Beckett was one of several adults who occasionally drove local children to school, and this included André and his siblings. André and Beckett had a surprising amount of common ground and bonded over their love of cricket, with André recalling that the two rarely talked about anything else. At the age of 18, André moved to Paris and was taught professional wrestling by a local promoter who recognized the earning potential of his size. He trained at night and worked as a mover during the day to pay living expenses, and was billed as Géant Ferré, and began wrestling in Paris and nearby areas. As his popularity grew, he began making a name for himself internationally by wrestling in the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and Africa. Canadian promoter and wrestler Frank Valois met André when he was 20 in 1966 and would later become his business manager and advisor. André made his Japanese debut in the International Wrestling Enterprise in 1970, billed as Monster Rusimov. During his time in Japan, doctors first informed André that he suffered from acromegaly, a disorder that results from excess growth hormone after the growth plates have closed. In 1971, André moved to Montreal, Canada, where he became an immediate success, regularly selling out the Montreal Forum. However, promoters eventually ran out of plausible opponents for him, and as the novelty of his size wore off, the gate receipts dwindled. He wrestled numerous times in 1971 for Vern Gagne's American Wrestling Association as a special attraction, but with his career slowing, his manager looked to Vince McMahon Sr., the founder of the WWF, for advice. McMahon suggested several changes. He felt André should be portrayed as a large, immovable monster. And to enhance the perception of his size, McMahon discouraged André from performing maneuvers such as drop kicks, although he was capable of performing such agile maneuvers before his health deteriorated later in life. He also began billing him as André the Giant and set up a travel-intensive schedule. André was lent to wrestling associations around the world to keep him from becoming overexposed in any area. On March 24th, 1973, André debuted in the WWF as a fan favorite, defeating Frank Valois and Bull Palmetti in a handicap match in Philadelphia. Two days later, he made his debut in New York's Madison Square Garden, defeating Buddy Wolf. André the Giant was one of professional wrestling's most beloved babyfaces through the 1970s and early 80s. In 1976, André fought professional boxer Chuck Wepner in an unscripted boxer versus wrestler fight. The fight was shown via telecast as part of the undercard of the Muhammad Ali versus Antonio Inoki fight, and ended when he threw Wepner over the top rope and outside the ring and won via countout. In 1980, he feuded with Hulk Hogan when, unlike their more famous matches in the late 1980s, Hogan was the villain and André was the hero. They wrestled at Shea Stadium's third showdown at Shea event, and after André pinned Hogan to win the match, Hogan body slammed him. The feud continued in Japan in 1982 and 83, with their roles reversed and with Antonio Inoki also involved. In 1982, Vince McMahon Sr. sold the WWF to his son, Vince McMahon Jr. As McMahon began to expand his newly acquired business to the national level, he required his wrestlers to appear exclusively for him. He signed André to these terms in 1984, although he still allowed him to work in Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling. One of André's feuds and storylines pitted him against the Mongolian giant, Killer Khan. According to the storyline, Khan had snapped André's ankle during a match on May 2nd, 1981, in Rochester, New York, by leaping off the top rope and crashing down upon it with his knee. In reality, André had broken his ankle getting out of bed the morning before the match. The injury and subsequent rehabilitation was worked into the existing André the Giant Killer Khan storyline. After a stay at Beth Israel Hospital in Boston, André returned with payback on his mind. The two battled in a match in July at Madison Square Garden that resulted in a double disqualification. The storyline feud continued as fans filled arenas up and down the East Coast to witness their matches. On November 14th, 1981, at the Philadelphia Spectrum, André decisively defeated Khan in what was billed as a Mongolian stretcher match, in which the loser must be taken to the dressing room on a stretcher. The same type of match was also held in Toronto. Another feud involved a man who considered himself to be the true giant of wrestling, Big John Studd. Throughout the early to mid-1980s, André and Stud fought all over the world, battling to try to determine who the real giant of wrestling was. In 1984, Stud took the feud to a new level when he and partner Ken Patera knocked André out during a televised tag team match and proceeded to cut off his hair. After gaining revenge on Patera, André met Stud in a body slam challenge at the first WrestleMania, held on March 31st, 1985, at Madison Square Garden in New York City, in front of nearly 20,000 people in the stadium and over 1 million on TV. André slammed Stud to win the match and collect the $15,000 prize. He then proceeded to throw cash to the fans before having the bag of cash stolen from him by Stud's manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan. The following year at WrestleMania 2, André continued to display his dominance by winning a 20-man Battle Royale, which featured top National Football League stars and wrestlers. He last eliminated Bret the Hitman Hart to win the contest. After WrestleMania, André continued his feud with Stud and King Kong Bundy, but around this time, he requested a leave of absence to tend to his health, as the effects from his acromegaly were beginning to take their toll. He had also been cast in The Princess Bride. To explain his absence, a storyline was developed in which Heenan, suggesting that André was secretly afraid of Stud and Bundy, challenged André and a partner of his choosing to wrestle them in a televised tag team match. When André failed to show, WWF President Jack Tunney indefinitely suspended him. Later in the summer of 1986, upon his return to the United States, André began wearing a mask and competing as the Giant Machine in a team known as the Machines. Big Machine and Super Machine were the other members, and Hulk Hogan as Hulk Machine and Rowdy Roddy Piper as Piper Machine were also one-time members. The WWF's television announcers sold the Machines as a new tag team from Japan and claimed not to know the identities of the wrestlers, even though it was obvious to fans that it was André competing as the Giant Machine. Heenan, Stud, and Bundy complained to Tunney, who eventually told Heenan that if it could be proven that André and the Giant Machine were the same person, André would be fired. But the Giant thwarted Heenan, Stud, and Bundy at every turn. Then, in late 1986, the Giant Machine disappeared, and André was reinstated. After his return, André agreed to turn heel, otherwise known as the Bad Guy, in early 1987 to be the counter to the biggest wrestler at that time, Hulk Hogan. On an edition of Piper's Pit, an interview show for wrestling, Hogan was presented a trophy for being the WWF World Heavyweight Champion for 3 years. André came out to congratulate him, shaking Hogan's hand with a strong grip, which surprised and hurt the Hulkster. The following week, André was presented a slightly smaller trophy for being the only undefeated wrestler in wrestling history. Although he had suffered a handful of countout and disqualification losses, he had never been pinned or forced to submit in a WWF ring. Hogan came out to congratulate him and ended up being the focal point of the interview, and, apparently annoyed, André walked out in the midst of Hogan's speech. To make amends, a discussion between André and Hogan was scheduled, and on a Piper's Pit interview that aired on February 7th, the two met again. Hogan was introduced first, followed by André the Giant, who was led by longtime rival Bobby Heenan. Speaking on behalf of his new protege, Heenan accused Hogan of being André's friend only so he would not have to defend his title against him. Hogan tried to reason with him, but his pleas were ignored, and André challenged him to a match for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 3. At WrestleMania 3, André was billed at 520 pounds. The stress of such immense weight on his bones and joints resulted in constant pain. And after a recent back surgery, he was also wearing a brace under his wrestling singlet. In front of a record crowd, Hogan won the match after body slamming André the Giant, followed by Hogan's running a leg drop finisher. It was later dubbed the Body Slam Heard around the world. Years later, Hogan claimed that André was so heavy he felt more like 700 pounds and that he tore a back muscle when slamming him. Another myth about the match is that no one, not even WWF owner Vince McMahon, knew until the day of the event who would win. In reality, André had agreed to lose the match sometime before, mostly for health reasons. The feud between André and Hogan simmered a bit during the summer of 1987 as André's health declined. But it began heating up again when the wrestlers were named the captains of rival teams at the inaugural Survivor Series event. During their approximately 1 minute of battling each other during the match, Hogan dominated André and was on the brink of knocking him from the ring, but was tripped up by his partners, Bundy and One Man Gang, and would be counted out. André went on to be the sole survivor of the match, pinning Bam Bam Bigelow before Hogan returned and attacked André and knocked him out of the ring. During this period, another storyline was developed, in which the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, unsuccessfully attempted to persuade Hogan to sell him the WWF World Heavyweight Championship belt. Hogan refused, and the two agreed to fight for the title. After failing to defeat Hogan in a subsequent series of matches, DiBiase turned to André to win it for him. The match was deemed the Hogan-Andre rematch on the main event to air on February 5th, 1988, on a live broadcast on NBC. Acting as his hired gun, Andre won the title from Hogan, which would be his first singles title, in a match where it was later revealed that the appointed referee, Dave Hebner, was detained backstage, and a replacement was revealed to have been his evil twin brother, Earl Hebner. The false referee made a 3 count on Hogan while his shoulders were off the mat. Andre then sold the title to the $1 Million Man, but the transaction was declared invalid by the WWF and the title was declared vacant. In late 1989, Andre was joined with fellow Heenan family member Haku to form a new tag team called the Colossal Connection. His last singles match was a loss to the Ultimate Warrior in 20 seconds at a house show in Missouri on December 11th, 1989. Shortly after, the Colossal Connection targeted WWF Tag Team Champions, Demolition. At a television taping on December 13th, the Colossal Connection defeated Demolition to win the titles. The Colossal Connection successfully defended their title until WrestleMania 6, when Demolition took advantage of a mistime move by the champions to regain the belts. After the match, a furious Heenan blamed Andre for the title loss and, after shouting at him, slapped him in the face. An angry Andre responded with a slap of his own that sent Heenan staggering from the ring. Andre also caught Haku's kick attempt, sending him reeling from the ring as well, prompting renewed support for the Giant. His on-air return finally took place at the WWF's Superstars and Stripes Forever USA Network special on March 17, 1991. When he came out to shake the hand of the Big Boss Man after an altercation with Mr. Perfect. The following week, at WrestleMania 7, he came to the aid of the Big Boss Man in his match against Mr. Perfect. On May 10th, he participated in a 17-man battle royale at a house show in Detroit, which was won by Kerry Von Erich. This was André the Giant's final WWF match, although he was involved in several subsequent storylines. The last major storyline for André had the major heel managers trying to recruit him one by one, only to be turned down in various humiliating ways. Finally, Jimmy Hart appeared live on WWF Superstars to announce that he had successfully signed Andre to a tag team with Earthquake. However, when asked to confirm this by Gene Okerlund, Andre denied the claims. This led to Earthquake attacking Andre from behind and injuring his knee. His final major WWF appearance was at SummerSlam in 1991, where he seconded the Bushwhackers in their match against the Disasters. André was on crutches at ringside, and after the disasters won the match, they set out to attack him. But the Legion of Doom made their way to ringside and got in between them and the Giant, who was preparing to defend himself with one of his crutches. His last US television appearance was in a brief interview on World Championship Wrestling's Clash of the Champions special that aired on TBS in September 1992. Long before his wrestling career came to a close, Andrei Roussimoff got into acting. He appeared in a 1967 French boxing film and made his US acting debut playing a Sasquatch in a two-part episode aired in 1976 on the television series The $6 Million Man. He also appeared in other television shows, including The Greatest American Hero, BJ and the Bear, The Fall Guy, and 1990's Zorro. Toward the end of his career, he starred in several films. He has an uncredited appearance in the 1984 film Conan the Destroyer as Dagoth, the resurrected horned giant god who was killed by Conan, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. That same year, he also made an appearance in Mickey and Maude. But most notably, he appeared as Fezzik, his personal favorite role in the 1987 film The Princess Bride. Andrei would say that he found the fact that no one stared at him on set during production a novel and particularly gratifying experience. Wrestler Lanny Poffo later said that the movie meant so much to Andrei that he made his wrestling pals watch an advance copy of the VHS with him over and over again, while supplying dinner, drinks, and sweetly asking each time, "Did you like my performance?" Andrei was listed in the 1974 Guinness Book of World Records as the highest paid wrestler in history at that time. In the early 1970s, he was earning the equivalent of about $2.4 million a year. He never married, but had one daughter, Robin Christensen. Her mother, Jean Christensen, who died in 2008, became acquainted with her father through the wrestling business around 1972 or 73. Robin had almost no connection with her father and saw him only 5 times in her life. André the Giant has been unofficially crowned the greatest drunk on earth for once consuming 119 cans of beer, in total over 41 liters in 6 hours. The fabulous Moolah wrote in her autobiography that André drank 127 beers in a Reading, Pennsylvania hotel bar and later passed out in the lobby. Due to his size, the staff could not move him and had to leave him there until he awoke. Despite his size and character often being portrayed as menacing, William Goldman, the author of the novel and screenplay of The Princess Bride, wrote that André was one of the gentlest and most generous people he ever knew. Whenever he ate at a restaurant with someone, he would pay, but he would also insist on paying when he was a guest. On one occasion, after André attended a dinner with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Wilt Chamberlain, Schwarzenegger had quietly moved to the cashier to pay before André could. But he found himself being physically lifted, carried from his table, and deposited on top of his car by André and Chamberlain. André owned a ranch in Ellerbe, North Carolina, which was looked after by two of his close friends. When he was not on the road, he loved spending time at the ranch and tending to his cattle, playing with his dogs, and entertaining friends. Since he could not easily go shopping due to his fame and size, he was known to spend hours watching QVC and made frequent purchases from the shopping channel. He also had a passion for card games, mainly cribbage. In 1993, André went to Paris to attend his father's funeral. While there, he decided to stay longer to be with his mother on her birthday. But on January 28th, André the Giant died of congestive heart failure in his sleep at a Paris hotel. He had spent the day before his death visiting and playing cards with some of his oldest friends from his childhood home. In his will, he specified that his remains be cremated. His ashes were scattered at his ranch, and in accordance with his will, he left his estate to his sole beneficiary, his daughter Robin. André Roussimoff, also known as André the Giant, was 46 years old when he died.